Hey, Amanda.
Hi.
Hey,
Hey,
Amanda.
and pardon me, both of you. I'm sorry that I'm so casual today. I just took my dog for a run,
No,
and I hope you don't mind.
No, you're
no,
good.
you're good. I'm working from home today, so
Good, good. Hey, Amanda, Aaron, and I were just talking about the marriage license. We were just kind of chatting away a little bit. The marriage license. So the government require. I hate that the government's involved in this really private matter. Like weddings are super private, but somehow the government's weaseled its way in. But I get it, health insurance and all that sort of stuff. Okay. Uh, so the government requires two things. One is a marriage license, and I'm gonna send Aaron a link to Utah County. You don't have to have it. You don't have to get the marriage license in the county where you reside. It's not a requirement. Just anywhere. Utah County has an all online option. I was explaining to him where you just scan in your identification documents and they verify and provide you a license electronically. So nobody has to physically sign anything, which may help if Aaron was saying you may be traveling a little bit the first part of June. So if that's the case, maybe that works a little bit. Anyway, I'll give you guys the link to that so you can explore it a little bit. If it works for you, great. If not, the paper copy is just fine. It's just a couple extra steps, right? So the marriage license and two witnesses. The two witnesses can be anybody. They just have to be 18 years of age or older. So it's either your parents or best man and maid of honor usually, but it doesn't really matter. And if you do use the Utah County option, I don't know if you have anybody that's planning on that wants to watch the wedding but can't physically be at the wedding, which happens a ton with COVID right now. Those people could actually serve as your witnesses too, even if they're not physically present, because I don't need their wet signatures. I just need their names. Okay, so that's the semantics of the government piece of the wedding, right? So just be aware of that. I'm happy to answer whatever questions you got. If you don't know where to start, I was telling Aaron, there's no reason for you to know where to start because you get married once in your life, hopefully, and and that's kind of it. So I'm happy to tell you how a ceremony goes and the optional pieces of it, et cetera, and whatnot. If that makes more sense to you, I'm happy to lead, but I'm also happy to follow your lead as well. What do you think?
I have been married before,
Okay.
but it was an LDS temple wedding. So having a civil service is going to be very different than my past experience. So I really don't know how this works.
I got you. I was Mormon too, and I got married in the temple too. And ask me how much I remember about my wedding. Zero. Like there's nothing memorable about it because you do rites and routines and traditions, and it's all very formal. And I remember being in the temple and just being like eyes wide open, like what is it? What's happening right now? Anyway, it was fine, right? It's fine, but now the wedding itself today, this wedding can be exactly what you want it to be. Okay, most of my weddings that I officiate consists of a number of parts, right? I'll walk you through it real quick. And I was telling Aaron, I've done 200 plus weddings in the last year and a half. Before that, I didn't know, of course, I didn't know any of this stuff either, but I've done enough now that I kind of know how it goes. So a couple of questions. How remind me, is this the location for this, the foundry? Is that where we're doing this? Okay.
Yeah.
So at the foundry, if I remember correctly, it's small, but it's big enough, right? So Amanda, are you going to walk down the aisle? Are you going to have your dad walk you down the aisle or somebody walk you down the aisle?
Yes. So there's an upstairs level where the chairs will be set up. So I'll have to come up the stairs and then down the aisle.
Yep. It doesn't matter to me. I'm mostly just talking about like logistics and semantics, etc. So some things for you guys to think about. I don't know if you're going to have music. If you're going to have music, is the DJ going to cue? Like, is there going to be different music when Aaron walks up? And if you're going to have bridesmaids and groomsmen, is it going to be different music there? Is it going to be a ring bearer and a flower girl? All those components, they're small details, but if you want this to go kind of smoothly, then they're just kind of things you need to think about. And who's changing the music? It can be somebody on their phone. That's why I'm doing this. Somebody on their phone. That's what most people do. But if you hire a DJ, the DJ will be over in the corner and he'll watch. Usually, like once the processional starts, there'll be one song. And then once the processional ends and it's time for you to come, Amanda, then it's your song. All rise to honor the bride. Everybody stands up and watches you come in to your song. And you'll meet us at the altar and we'll kind of go from there. So those pieces, they don't impact me. They don't impact my part in the ceremony at all. They're just probably things for you to think about and kind of consider, right? Because also, remind me the start time on this. 6, we know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we were looking between about 5 or 6, 5 to 5:30 on a start time.
Okay. So let's just say for argument's sake or for discussion's sake, 5 o'clock. So 5 o'clock start time. If everybody's there that we need to be there and we're ready to move, do you guys have a wedding planner or anybody like that? Or is this just, okay, good. Those guys get in the way, but I want to respect that if that's what you're doing. So usually at 4:55 or 4:57, or if we're all ready and everybody that you're waiting for is in their seats or in the building, I'll walk up. Welcome everybody. Good afternoon. Bride and groom are grateful for your love and support. You got your cell phones. Now's a good time to silence them. We'll get started in a minute. Something like that, right? So everybody takes a seat, silence their cell phones. A hush comes over. So Aaron, I don't know what you're planning on doing as far as getting up to the altar. Do you have somebody that you're planning on walking with, or walk by yourself, or do you want to walk with me?
Haven't really thought about it that much.
It
may be my parents coming up or walking up with you. It just depends.
Yeah, you can go arm in arm with your parents, and then they drop you off at the altar, and then they go sit in the front row. That's one way to do it.
Okay.
You can take your dog up there with you. It can be whatever you want. You guys, this should be exactly the way you want it to be. If you want it to be a celebration and where we're laughing and roasting each other and having fun, that's great. Or it can be so emotional and heartfelt that we're all crying. That's good too. Just, you don't get to choose this stuff in the temple, for example. You don't get to make these sorts of calls. You just go, just go where they tell you to stand. It's your wedding. You get to do exactly the way you want it to do. So that's why I'm asking these kind of feeler questions for you a little bit to get you thinking. So whoever you walk with, if you walk with somebody, a lot of grooms walk with me. So the two of us walk up at 3:57 or whatever time it is. You stand next to me and think about which side of me you're going to stand on. I'm going to face the crowd, and you guys are going to stand in front of me, kind of like this, facing each other, probably holding each other's hands. Okay. Are you going to have a best man and a bridesmaid, maid of honor, bridesmaids and groomsmen, et cetera?
He has a best man and 1 groomsman. I just have 2 bridesmaids.
Okay, perfect. So however that works. So usually the bridesmaids and the groomsmen walk down the aisle together and then separate at the altar. Hopefully we have even numbers. If we don't, then the groomsman maybe walks with both of the bridesmaids, or whatever you want to do, right? I don't think anybody should walk down the aisle by themselves unless they really want to. So, I mean, it's just a detail that maybe you want to think about. So they'll come up, they'll separate whichever side groom's on. The tradition is, just kind of keep this in mind. This is like drinking out of fire hose a little bit. So don't let me overwhelm you, but traditionally the groom probably is on my right. And it doesn't matter. You can be on whichever side you want, but the tradition is if the bad guys storm the castle, then your right hand is facing them so you can take them down with your sword. You know what I mean? Like, it's that weird tradition. So, but if you want to be on the right side, cool, be on the right side with me. The other tradition is your people will be on opposite aisle of you so they can watch your face, right? So Adam, if you're over here, your folks are going to sit the opposite side of you so they can watch your face as you go through the ceremony. That feels counterintuitive, because if that doesn't matter, maybe it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, then it's open seating. Everybody sit where you want. That's cool too. It's just something to think about. Okay. And the same thing would be true of you, Amanda, is that your folks, once they drop you off, your dad's walking you down the aisle or whatever, then they would go opposite you so they can see your face as you're going through the ceremony. The tradition. The tradition doesn't matter. If that overcomplicates things, then just send them to whichever side or open seating. Okay. But it's a minor detail to think about. So the components of the ceremony itself. Once we get there, we get to the front. Amanda, are you going to have a bouquet of flowers?
Yeah.
Probably, right? So hand those off to your maid of honor. She'll hold the bouquet. You'll come up. You guys will face each other. We'll fix your dress. So the photographer gets great pictures with your dress, etc. And then I'll probably say, okay, you guys ready to go? You'll cry with each other or whatever. And I'll take my mic and say, dearly beloved, honored guests and friends, we're invited here today to share with these two jokers in a really important moment in their life. And then we talk about commitment and compassion and friendship and support and, cool stuff like that. I'll write something that you guys will love. And then there's three optional pieces to this. Aaron and I were talking about this before you joined, Amanda, but one is the ring exchange. I think you're going to exchange rings. The one question I have about the ring exchange is you've got options there even too. You can exchange rings at the same time and just silently express your love to each other through your gaze if you want to, or you can prepare a short vow if you wanted to say something to each other with this ring, whatever, or you can repeat after me. And the repeat after me is with this ring, I promise to give you, it's etc. It's really short, but that can be a nice touch if you like. Any idea which one of those makes sense to you? You don't have to decide right now either. You can tell me on the day of.
I'll tell you before the day of. I don't have an answer for you right now.
Okay, just chat about it. Those are tiny little details, but it'll kind of help me make it go really smooth, right? So once the rings are exchanged, you guys are still holding hands, facing each other. There's an option now for a personal vow. Aaron said that you guys don't need to or want to say anything to each other. Is that correct? Okay. No worries at all. For me in the ceremony, that means I take out the little placeholder that says, I understand that you prepared some personal vows. So I take that out, right? That's all it is. And then I'll talk a little bit more about working hard for each other and not giving up and what marriage really means and commitment and the symbol of the ceremony, etc. And then it's the traditional vow. You take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, etc., etc. And then I pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. I'm pleased to present to you for the first time, Mr. and Mrs. Borden. Everybody goes wild. You guys cheer, whatever you're going to do. At that point is what's called the recessional. And you guys, there doesn't have to be one. You can just be like, okay, cool. And then you go to your families and hug everybody. A lot of couples need to take pictures at that point. So it's probably an announcement for me. The bride and groom are going to go take some pictures right now. So hang in there, give them 15 minutes. They'll come back and give you big hugs and stuff at that point. So again, that's totally your option. But the reverse order in the recessional would be you guys walk back down the aisle, everybody cheers, and then bridesmaid, groomsmen, they come back down the aisle and they kind of follow you out as well. And I'm happy to make an announcement. Are you guys having the reception at the Foundry right after?
Yes, just right downstairs in that area.
Is it a dinner or is it the reception where new people are?
A reception just with light refreshments.
Okay. So I if you want me to, I'm happy to announce something like that. If you've got a DJ, they sometimes announce something like that. But again, you can see where I'm coming from. These are like tiny little semantic details, but in order for this event to go kind of smoothly, then give me the thumbs up or thumbs down in some areas. And I've done it enough that I can figure it out really easily. But you guys guide me and it'll go great.
Okay. Yeah. Like what we've been talking about, we were planning on keeping it simple, straightforward. Okay. That jokes are fine, at least for me. That Amanda would probably say I'm probably the jokester. But yeah, I'd say lighthearted.
Okay, good. You can tell that's my natural disposition. I'm generally pretty casual for the most part.
Got that from your YouTube videos.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was one thing I liked.
I'm glad that you watched those because I'm not a fit for everybody. You know, I had a couple break up with me just today and say, hey, we decided to go in a different direction. And I have to think it's probably because they want somebody that's a little bit more formal and scripted and all that sort of stuff. And that's totally fine. Wedding day should be exactly how you want it to be. So yeah. So I like that you did that. I like that you vetted me a little bit, that you understand what I'm generally all about. Knowing also back to one of the original points I made, if you guys decide that this needs to be really serious, I've done very serious weddings before, and it's an emotional day, right? It's a really important day. So if the emotion takes over, honestly, if you guys don't do personal vows, you probably won't get terribly emotional. That'd be what I was afraid of if I was going to get married again. I'd probably be a blubbering mess a little bit, but if we skip over that part, we'll just vibe off each other, and we'll shed some tears and we'll have some laughs, and it'll be good. Yeah,
that sounds good.
Good. What else? Is there anything else that I can guide you through or help you with? I like that seriously is the bigger piece of this to me. Is that, again, this is something that doesn't happen very often in your life. So if there's anything that comes up, or if you have questions about anything, call me. Let's have another chat. I mean, we got 6 months, right? Or 5 months. So we got a long time to figure this out. If something comes up and you're like, hey, what do we do about this? I'm not sure. Well, let's see if Greg knows what's going on. Shoot me a text, or let's get on a call again, or whatever you want. Like, I'm here to absolutely help. So you may not have questions right now, but they may come up over the next few months, right?
Yeah, I imagine so. Since we're still planning things out, we're deciding whether or not we want a DJ, or if we want a violinist, or even just doing a recording.
Totally.
And set up, and
yeah,
some things are going to be a little fluid.
All those details. Also, by the way, if you want references for anything, I've got tons of DJs. I got tons of flower people. I got tons of whatever. I'm sure you got your own, but if you need references, I'm happy to provide you a couple if you need those too. Just because I've been around enough to talk to a bunch of people. So those details to me seem less important than making sure that we're working together and we're okay. Like, yeah, but photographers, they're a dime a dozen, you know, they're nonsense. So whatever. but please know this, I will set up a video camera for you. And the YouTube videos come from my video camera, that you'll get a copy that's just like that. It's not me moving around. Like, if you hire a videographer, they'll move around and they'll edit it and it'll be amazing. But my little video camera will be set up, and you'll get a copy of that as part of all this. So just FYI, if that helps or anything. And you'll get it. Great. Yeah, you get it immediately. If you hire a videographer, it'll take them a couple weeks to edit it, and it'll be really cool, and they'll sync up some music, and it's amazing. Mine, of course, doesn't do that, but you get it the night of your wedding. So anyway, benefits and drawbacks, but you get that too. So I'm here to support you. I'll say that again. I'm here to support you, whatever questions you have. That's the biggest, most important thing to me. Like I love doing weddings, and I love meeting couples and creating relationships and bonds and stuff like that. Doesn't work with everybody that I talk to, but it's mostly based on like mutual respect, and I'm here to help you guys do something that's once in a lifetime, you know. So
no, I think it'll be great.
Good. Okay, well, if you guys don't have any questions, that sort of thing makes me feel comfortable knowing that you guys know at least kind of the outline of the ceremony and kind of what's expected and where you're going to be. It's good in a way that you don't have to prepare vows. That can be stressful for some people a little bit. So make sure that you have your marriage license on your radar. I told Aaron and Amanda that it expires 30 days from the day you get it. So probably not until the middle of June do you need to worry about that. I will text over the Utah County link to you after we're done. I have phone numbers, right? Or a phone number. I think I do, don't I?
I think I included it. on the link. If not, I can give it to you.
Yeah. Why don't you give it to me just so I make sure I
Yeah,
have it.
it's 801
Okay.
602 0331.
331.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. I'll text that over to you. The only other business detail is payment, right? You've got my Venmo. You can pay me on Venmo anytime you want. Up to the day, including the day of the wedding. I don't love the idea of getting paid on the day of the wedding. I don't want you to have to worry about that or think about it, but it's totally your call. I don't really care whenever that happens. Okay, so don't sweat. You got a ton of things to think about with everything that's going to come up. So I don't want you to have to worry about the ceremony. I got that part of it. I will totally take care of it. And if you, especially if you don't want to have anything super formal or super custom, I can figure all that sort of stuff out. I can write something really good for you. I'm confident in that. So, but I will say, if you want me to add a little story about how you met or your favorite thing about each other or anything like that, that's super easy. You know what I mean? I'm happy to slide that in or work it into a ceremony. Just email me or text me any of that information, and that's super easy. But just think about that as you go. And you can, even if you look at some of my videos on YouTube, you can see what other people kind of did and how they added their own flavor to it a little bit. If that's something you're interested in, cool, let me know. Otherwise, I got you. Okay.
Oh, sounds good. And just confirm you did receive the deposit, right?
You did. Yep, we're good.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. Okay, cool. Well, I will end this meeting in a few minutes, and I'll make notes. I'll write all those notes down so I know what's going on. And I mean, 5 months is a long time. So if you have anything come up, any questions at all or anything like that, let me know. I know that you had, I think, if I remember correctly, you said we had talked about doing a walkthrough or kind of a rehearsal sort of a thing. Or what are you thinking about that now?
So we weren't planning on doing a rehearsal, but I know the foundry, the owner Ashley, she had mentioned us doing walkthroughs and us sitting down doing our consultation stuff. And during their open houses, she said typically they have the ministers come up and take a look at the venue and familiarize themselves with the area.
Yeah, I've worked the foundry one other time or two other times, I think. So for me, I wouldn't need that necessarily. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty comfortable with the stuff that I've already done. But but you let me know if that's something that you guys want to build in.
Yeah, I know that if you're comfortable with it. Yeah. If you're comfortable with it, then I think we should be okay. It's not too terribly complicated of an area. The upstairs is pretty clear in that. So.
Right, and I'll be there. My goal is always to be at the ceremony like a half hour before it starts, just to make sure you guys aren't sweating about where I'm at or anything like that. And if I need to talk to a DJ or anything else and figure stuff out, then I can take care of that all before the ceremony. So, I think we're okay. If things change and you decide that you want that, let me know. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, sounds good.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, then like I said, just stay in touch with me. If there's nothing else, I will plan on seeing. God, we're almost exactly 5 months, aren't we? So I'll plan on seeing you guys then. But at the very least, I'll probably touch base like a month before and just be like, "Hey, everything cool? How's everything going?" And you guys just, if anything changes or anything, if I need to know anything different, just shoot me a text or whatever, and we'll figure it out. Otherwise, my homework today is to shoot you the Utah County marriage license information, and I'm going to send you my email address just to make sure you have it, because you'll need to forward that marriage license to me if you decide to use Utah County. Once it's done, just forward it to me. But you've got my Venmo for the payments and all that other stuff, so I think we're good.
Okay.
Nope, sounds good, sir.
Once we work out an outline, we will send it to you.
Yeah, cool. Okay, awesome, you guys. Great to meet you face to face. I'll make note of everything we talked about, and I'll plan on seeing you in a few months.
Okay.
Okay, no, thank you.
Hey, thanks, you guys.
Yep, we'll talk to you later.